As they say in the motoring world, there's nothing quite so expensive as a cheap classic car. And I think it definitely applies to us in our camera world. There's nothing quite so expensive as a cheap classic camera. Now, I bought this camera for like an average eBay price of just under 300 from a seller in Japan, described as excellent plus working, fully working, etc. It wasn't fully working, unfortunately, and it cost me quite a bit to get it fixed. Kowa started making these cameras in the late 60s, in 1968, as a way to enter the 6x6 market, trying to take on the Hasselblads and the Bronicas of the day in the square format world. This Kowa camera didn't hang around for that long. I think they were in and out in like 6 years, 68 to 74. They only made 3 models. Mine is the middle model, the MM, which has a mirror lockup function and a dual exposure function. The mirror slap isn't really an issue that I've had at all, but I suppose it's nice that they negated that if you're doing long exposures. The later model in 1974, the Super 66, does have a changeable film back, which I think is a really good idea. Obviously, if you're going to try and take on the modular systems of the Hasselblads, it needs to be modular. Kowa are highly regarded optical company, so the lens is superb. It's the 85mm 2.8 that comes as standard with it. I think there's 8 or 9 different lenses you can get in the series. So in that regard, there's a lot of scope for different glass. The design is a leaf shutter lens, like the Hasselblad 500C, so the shutter is inside the lens. There isn't a curtain shutter in the body, but because it's SLR, there is still a mirror movement, a mirror reflex. So when you fire the shutter, what order would it be in? The mirror moves up and the leaf shutter in the lens closes, something like that. So you do get a mirror slap, it's not a total leaf shutter system. The Kowa Six is referred to online as the poor man's Hasselblad, which at the time I think it was priced similarly to the Hasselblad. I prefer to call it the Japanese Hasselblad.
Precision engineering, it's like what you always say. It's the Japanese Mercedes, God have messed you.
I love the vibe of these late 60s, early 70s lenses. The same with my Pentacon 6. There's something about the glass they were making in that era that has a real vibe to it. Loading the film is kind of like an SLR, but the film goes from the bottom to the top. You load it in the film back like an SLR camera. I love the viewfinder, it's big and bright and it pops into focus. The images it creates are fantastic. Circling back to my costs, this is where things started to unravel a little bit. Including import taxes, I spent $380 to get it to my door into the UK, which isn't a problem at all for a camera that I plan to use ideally for many years. But I thought it's going to need a service anyway, so I took it to a very reputable place in London called Sendine Cameras, who've been around for 50 years. And the quote they gave me to fix this camera body and lens was £816 to fully fix this camera and lens. So now we're at £1,100 for my Kowa 6 MM. I'm not sure if the 816 quote was a go away, we don't want to do the job kind of price, because it seems disproportionate to the value of the camera. But Sendine are one of the most reputable repair shops in London, one of the most long-standing, so maybe that's just the price for their skill and expertise. I could have asked for a refund from the seller in Japan and posted the camera back, which is going to cost me another 50 or 60 plus, and I'd already spent £80 on import tax. to receive the camera in the UK, and that's not coming back either. And any Kowa 6 I buy going forward is going to need a service, because all the Kowa 6s are 50 years old. I paid the £816. I could have shopped around for a cheaper deal, I could have sent it back, but really I wanted the Kowa 6 fully functional, fully working as a thing that I can enjoy for many, many years. And it is a damn good camera. The optics, the glass is so nice. Kowa have been making glass for a long, long time. They're still a highly regarded optics company. Total costs of $1,100 is probably over the top for a Kowa 6, because you're then into the realms of a low-end Hasselblad. Probably a Hasselblad that needs a service, a knackered Hasselblad. How do you put value on something that brings you joy? I don't think you should compare it to the money that you've spent. This camera I would love to have for years and years and years, and it's going to bring me joy for those years. Hopefully I'm going to make amazing images with it. It's definitely capable of amazing images. I don't want to decide that because I've spent so much on it, the camera is a bad idea. Maybe it was a bad idea. Is $1,100 good value for a Kowa 6? No, certainly not in terms of current market value on eBay. I probably could never sell it for $1,100. But if you value something as a thing that brings you joy, it's very hard to quantify that. Going back to the classic car metaphor, I think it's important to keep these little pieces of history in the world. Even though I've paid way over the odds for this camera, it now functions perfectly. It has a 3-month warranty, by the way, so we'll see what happens. I think it's important to keep these little pieces of history in the world, particularly the Kowa 6, which was not a very popularly produced camera, not widely used. It was only made for 6 years. Eventually, all these vintage film cameras are going to disappear and turn to dust. And even though I've overpaid massively money-wise, I don't think you can put a price on these little boxes of joy that bring us so much pleasure.